Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Recorded by Richter, back with a brand new music segment for you. Today I am back with another artist highlight segment, and that is for PG Maryland rapper IDK. Now, if you're unfamiliar with IDK, prior to this, I'm going to catch you up to speed and everything about his history, because IDK is a fully independent rapper. He has a distribution deal, I think, through Rhymesayers, which is Atmosphere's label currently. But he is independent, so he's doing all this stuff on his own. He's putting all this stuff together himself, and I've always been baffled by the little amount of media coverage on a grand scale that he's gotten, and that's why I wanted to make this video. Lately, I have been seeing a lot of people covering him, and it's for a couple of specific reasons, and I'll get into that. But I wanted to get everyone caught up to speed on who he is, what he's about, and this amazing body of work that he has, because I think that IDK is one of this generation's greatest hip-hop artists. So instead of just reading off random information about IDK, I want to give you guys some history on how I came to know about him and my story behind falling into fandom with IDK's work. So he's been making music or releasing music since around 2014-15. Subtrap came out in 2015, which I think was his second mixtape, but it's the first one that's on streaming if you go to look him up on the streaming services or whatever. And full disclosure, I did not know about him yet in 2015. My fandom for IDK came around in 2016 when he released Empty Bank, which is considered another mixtape, but by all intents and purposes, for me, it's an album. I mean, this thing is a conceptual piece of amazing work. And I'll tell you why he really stuck with me. And that's because IDK has always been great at marketing himself and branding. Around the time of 2016, when he was coming up and his ascension up the ranks, I was already a daily listener of the Ebro, Laura, and Rosenberg show, Ebro in the Morning on Hot 97, which, shout out to those guys. They were let go from Hot 97 just recently and already have pivoted into their own independent show, which is already leaps and bounds better than the last 5 years at Hot. So shout out to Ebro, shout out to Laura, shout out to Rosenberg. Giant fan of all three of you. But anyhow, Rosenberg is a super nerd. He just loves and breathes hip hop and has always kept his ear to the streets, has been doing an underground real late show where he promotes artists that don't get the same stage that a lot of, the Kendricks, the Coles, the Drakes of the world do. And so that's something that I've always really appreciated about him, and also with his podcast Juan Ep with Cypher Sounds, where they've deep dove and had these awesome nerdy conversations and interview with hip-hop legends. And so that's how I got to find out about IDK. Rosenberg started talking about him on Hot 97. And when IDK dropped the Empty Bank, the cover of it is him sitting on a car hood with a noose around his neck being held by Benjamin Franklin. And when he did the album, the whole concept of the album is money. It goes into all aspects of money, the good, the bad, and the ugly, everything about it. And to promote it, he brought the actor that played Ben Franklin on his cover to the station, and he was walking around with them with the rope and everything. And I was like so floored by it. I'm like, who is this guy?
Ben Franklin with you to the radio station.
Yes, we have
Yes,
Ben
he did.
Franklin.
He brought me here. Yes, he did.
Ben, how are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
And Jay, real quick, Ben, we'll come back to you if that's all right.
Sure.
Yeah.
I got to look into this guy's music and stuff. And so I did, and I was not disappointed at all. IDK, every album gives you something conceptually beautiful, and he really puts his heart and soul into the music. So since then, and that was still considered a mixtape, he released another one, I Was Very Bad, in 2017, and then IDK and Friends in 2018, which was all songs featured with other artists. You had, Denzel Curry, all these people that are in that same middle tier cusp of like the independent space that are like amazing artists that don't get the shine that they deserve. But technically to him at least, the first real album came in 2019 with Is He Real, which is just absolutely phenomenal. And since then, he's released IDK and Friends 2, Use For Yourself, Simple, which was entirely produced by K Tronada. I've got that one right here. I've got a few of his projects on vinyl. I've got that one right here. That's entirely produced by K Tronada, which is phenomenal. Then he dropped F65 in 2023. And F65 features one of the dopest covers I've ever heard of Stevie Wonder. Him and Music Soul Child at the very end of this thing did Stevie Wonder's Superwoman, which is from Music of My Mind off of the first album of Stevie's amazing creative run in the 70s. And they did a great job of that. And I think right here is a good place to mention that IDK has an incredible singing voice too. Another thing that really stuck him in my brain of like, oh my God, this guy just keeps on surprising me, is when he dropped this beautiful cover. It was a video to go along with it of him performing Frontin' by Pharrell live. And it was with this awesome string orchestra of black women playing all these instruments surrounding him as he sat in the middle in a tuxedo and sang the song. And I was like, this is just brilliant. And then he added his own rap verse to the end of it. And I was just floored by that. I thought it was so masterfully done. And so, yeah, so then he dropped that. And then you had Bravado Intimo in 2024. And then he released the deluxe version of it, which the cover was that for the deluxe version in 2025, which featured, you know, awesome features again. And now, the reason that I wanted to come on here and do this now is because I just arrived in the mail. Open it up right here for you. Everybody loves an unboxing, right? I already cut the tape, so I didn't look like a fool on here. But we have his brand new project. Get rid of this box. Even the Devil Smiles, and which is packaged as a mixtape. But man, this doesn't feel like a mixtape to me upon listening. Now, I don't want to give a full track-by-track breakdown because, as you know if you follow my channel, I'm not one for early reviews. I'm not rushing out just to get the clicks like a lot of these people are, where they've listened to it once and then give you their opinion. For me, I don't think you can honestly review an album that you like until you've sat and listened to it, spent some time with it, rode in the car with it, jammed it on the vinyl at home, you know, all these different kinds of ways to take it in. But I will say, having said that, there is a posthumous DMX feature on here and an MF Doom feature on here. The RZA is on here. Pusha T is on here. I know I'm forgetting some other features that are brilliant. I know Black Thought is on here. Production from Madlib, K Tronada, Conductor Williams. You know, it's just such a well-rounded project. And this album really is the first one that fully takes you through IDK's story of being hit with a charge that was going to give him a 15-year prison sentence, which he was able on good behavior and I think due to the judge maybe was knocked down some years off of it. And so technically he would have been coming out of prison the year this came out. And if he would have had to serve his full term. And this takes you right through the whole thing, through the skits to everything that he was going through. And I don't think I've seen a rapper package this, their project with physical media in a cool way like IDK did since Nipsey Hussle. I want to take you through what he did. Aside from having it on vinyl and having cool merch and everything, I think IDK really jumped on the smartest trend ever right now. AI is flooding the streaming services. It's overwhelming when you click on the internet how much stuff is AI, from music to videos on social media. All this stuff is getting flooded, and I think it's really pushing people away from it. I think it's pushing people away from the titles, the Spotifys, the Apple Musics, and they're getting back into physical media, buying Blu-ray DVDs again, buying CDs, buying vinyl, buying even magazine books, all this kind of stuff. And what IDK did brilliantly was package his new mixtape as a CD, and the jewel case, the plastic jewel case that it comes in, doubles down as a working CD player, and he sold those for $500 a piece, and they sold out so quick. I wanted to get in on it, but it was sold out so fast that I couldn't, so I got the vinyl instead. And you know, some people are probably ignorantly thinking, oh my God, he's selling a CD for $500. Who does he think he is? Well, what he is an independent artist who's given us a decade's worth of amazing music that you could essentially listen to for free. So him valuing himself and knowing his own worth, to me, doesn't sound like he's trying to cheap out the fans at all. And in fact, he's giving his fans something that is priceless. Each one of these CD mixtapes came with a rare song that nobody else got. So every CD has one different song on it that no one else is getting except for if you got the CD. And I think that's brilliant, man. I think IDK is a genius when it comes to marketing himself, and I'm really proud to say that I've been listening to him for a decade, and I got in early with this music. You know, I've had little small back and forths with him on DMs on various streaming services, but I don't think he knows who I am yet. But I would love to develop a relationship and maybe even be able to interview him one day. You know, I say these things out loud because I think there's truth in speaking things out into the universe that you would like to happen. And man, I'm just a giant fan, and I would love to interview him. I know I would knock it out of the park if given the opportunity. So IDK, if you see this, I really hope that your brand continues to grow and we continue to see what you're going to give the world. So I think it was criminal that it took a Pusha T feature after this giant Clipse run for him to be discussed in a real way by a lot of the music publications and media outlets. You know, he's had placements, and like I said, I know about him because of Hot 97, but that's only because Rosenberg is from PG Maryland, and so is he. So they had this friendship. If he, you know, it's the same way I found out about Odyssey through Rosenberg and Wanep and stuff. So without that relationship, I didn't see much coverage from other places. You know, everybody wants to talk about the same 10 people. Everybody wants to make content about the same 10 people. It's all an algorithm hustle, and I'm just not here for it. So IDK, super happy that you've given us 10 years of amazing work. These are the 3 I have of his so far. I would like to eventually have all of his projects in my collection, but you know, I like I've stated before, I'm but a factory worker, so I buy albums as I can afford them. But that's where I'm at with it. Thank you so much for watching. If you've made it this far, please like, please subscribe, engage with me in the comments. I always respond to people in the comments. I don't put any advertising money into this through YouTube because I don't want cheap engagement. I want to grow a community of people that want to be here for a reason, and I will always go have a back and forth with you in the comments. I'm small potatoes, you know. I'm just around 300 subscribers so far, so that's the best way to help me grow if you want to help me. You know, I'm working on launching a Patreon and getting a store ready, and I'm really excited to announce that I am working on a documentary series that I'm going to do on my YouTube completely independently, probably only with the help of E-Man if he's willing to, and my girlfriend Jen. Other than that, I've got no machine behind me. You know, it's just me, and I have a full-time job as well outside of doing this stuff. So please help me grow this channel by, you know, having that discourse with me in the comments. And the series that I'm going to be working on, I don't want to reveal too much, but it's going to be, I'm going to go region to region, and it's all going to be discussing one historic year that really shifted culture and music, and a lot of different crazy things were happening around the world that all coincide with this year. And that's where I'll leave it at, and we will see you guys next time. Peace.